Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I see Paul's on here, Valerie's on here. Awesome Fun Things. That's not the same as, that's not Matt, right? Awesome Fun Things. Let me know your name. It's so good to see you. I actually made it onto the right live this time, which is great because yesterday there was a little bit of a snafu where I was on the wrong one. So welcome. This is the expert workshop series of the 21-day content habit challenge co-hosted by Capsho and Ecamm live. So again, as you hop on, continue to say hi. Hey, Roberto, good to see you. Now, there is a bit of a lag with comments, but keep them coming through. I love to see them. And if you're doing the 21-day content habit challenge with us, can you put a me in the comments and let me know how much fun you've been having? Well, I don't want to assume anything. If you haven't been having fun, then you can let us know that too. But I hope everyone's been having a ton of fun. So let us know how much fun you've been having with the challenge, because we are, like halfway through week 1. We still have a bit of time, but we have more really, really fun things planned for you. So you're going to want to stick around. Okay. And by the way, if you have just actually stumbled, hi, David. Yes, you are. Oh, I think is it David, or are you using your husband's account? Then if you just stumbled upon this live video and you want to get in on the fun, you're like, what is this 21-day challenge thing that you're talking about, Deirdre? There is still time. You can still register. Just go to 21-day. It's in the ticker, www.21daycontent. Try to get through this. Okay, so where was I up to? Yes, anyway, join the 21-day content habit challenge. Okay, so who is ready to meet our special guest? This one, he is on here live, and I am so excited because Luis Camejo, who I'm going to be introducing you to, from the Biz Bros. Now, the Biz Bros are absolute content marketing experts, and what I love about what they do and how they do it is it's similar to how we do it here at Capsho. They experiment all the time with what works and what doesn't. Okay. And I love seeing the content that they put out. And we first actually met Luis and his brother Fonzie, so the two Biz Bros, at Podfest 2022. And we've been incredible friends since then, mostly because I think we're so like-minded on so many things. And one of those things is our shared passion for helping entrepreneurs turn their content into profit. In fact, the Biz Bros have helped a ton of clients do exactly that. Clients like Orange Theory, F45, Chet Holmes International, and Red Bull. And so there is literally no one better than Luis, really, to share about the short form video workflow that will save you time and get you more results. So without further ado, let's say hi to Luis Camejo from the Biz Bros. Hey, there you are. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the 21-day content habit challenge. Now, you've kind of been dipping in and out. You've been following along. What are you most excited about with this challenge, apart from this live, of course?
Apart from this one today, I think it's just the ability and the tools that make publishing frictionless, right? And is that something that we talked about it from like day one since we started publishing? It's like how important it is to remove that friction initially to go and put some quality content. We can talk about quality specific later on, but I'm just excited that people can put their message out there and attract their dream relationship, whether that's for the business side or the personal side. So super stoked.
It's so cool. Okay, I am so excited myself, but one of the things that I'm okay. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This must be super frustrating for everyone. I don't know why my computer keeps doing this, so I'm just gonna keep closing everything down well, and hope that works. Okay, so as I was saying, we have a ton of prizes. I'm not going to go into all of them, but if you want, so we're going to do something really fun with Luis soon. So if you want to be a part of that, then can you put in a hashtag #ContentDoodleDoo in the comments, and we're going to play something really fun. If you were on the live late last week with Katie Brinkley, we did the same thing. So we're going to play some content content doodle do trivia related things in a little bit, but I want to get started, Luis. Like, I want you to get into what it is that we're talking about, which is the short form video workflow that actually gets results. So I want you to take it away, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, over the last few years, the conversation has been, taken by short form video content, right? Obviously, because the platforms have been like putting a lot of attention into that type of content. It's the first time in history that, one format of content can fit multiple platforms, and it's really interesting, right? And Also today, there's tools that like Capsho, for example, surprise, surprise, that allow you, and Ecamm, surprise, surprise, that allow you to create very high quality content, frequently, and kind of facilitate that. 2-3 years ago when we first started the service that we offer, or even 7 years ago when we started like our media company, it was just really challenging to do what we do now, just because you had to like put together a bunch of tools or have like really high quality equipment. And today that's all accessible, right? So, the conversation a few years ago was, how can we be consistent, or how can we be like frequent, like as much as possible, right? And then today, you have to add a new layer, almost like a third layer, because a lot of people are achieving that consistency and that frequency. And it's more like, how can we actually create quality content? And then for quality content, we can go in and define what quality content is. But at the end of the day, it's a combination of many things, starting with your message. So quality of the message over quality of the production 100% of the time. And let me tell you, production value is overrated, right? So with that said, today, look at the type of content that you might be consuming here and there. And I have this iPad here, but dude, right now it's okay. Those were just my cheat sheet notes. We'll get into graphics in just a bit. But
Okay.
All I'm trying to say is, now we have the tools in our hands to go in and create an incredible piece of content based on your quality message. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. Also, there are tools that allow you to be as frequent as possible, or test volume really quickly and see what message is working to attract your dream customer, right? If you are a business, or attract your dream audience, if you have a publishing platform. So all these things are super exciting. And then we can break it down specifically for short form content. And assuming we have a quality message, how can we enhance that quality message with a production value? Does that make sense?
It does. And what I really love about what you say is, I always go back when people are like, oh, it's not working. My posts aren't working. Why aren't I getting engagement? I always go back to this, because we always want to reverse engineer, right? Like, there's always a root cause to what's happening. It's not because the social media platform's not working. It's not because it's not because of that. It's usually because of one of two things. Either you don't have the right audience following you, which in and of itself is like probably the biggest problem. You need to start to find and get the right audience following you. And then if you do and things still aren't working, it's probably because the message that you're talking to them about isn't the right one. Like, are you actually hitting on their specific symptoms and pain points that they're feeling, or are you hitting on the result that they actually want? And so what Luis is talking about is a way to actually very quickly experiment and test and land on the messages that your audience do care about, assuming that you have the right audience. So that's what I love about what Luis is going to share with us. So are we ready to get into it, Luis, to get into that workflow?
100%.
Awesome. Do you want to share your screen now?
Sure. So before we get with the format, right? We're talking. I want to be very specific, right? Because content can get like really wide very quickly. So on the comments, if you are here live, let me know like what type of content do you create. So let's say there's two entry points. One will be from long form to short form, which I highly recommend, right? Especially if you're using a platform like Ecamm and Capsho. But then there's also creating the clip from scratch, and both are gonna depend on different resources that we might have, right? So what a lot of people ask us initially is like, how do I actually create that initial piece of content, right? That can little vertical video, right, with maybe a talking head that's there. Like, how do I actually something like this? And it really depends, right? So let's say, I mean, you pick the direction, right? Are we starting from long form content, or are we starting from specifically? Yeah. All right. I see
Yeah, let's
thumbs
do
up
long
in there.
form. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's say, we have a long piece of content when you have here, you have your start and then you have your end of episode, for example. So I'm going to use a couple examples. In my case, we have this show called Content is Profit, which is part of the Hotspot Podcast Network. And it's just conversations with entrepreneurs about they're turning content into profit, right? Then we also have a football show, which is not in the screen right now, but it's more me and Fonzie opinions about the sport that we love and adore, right? Like that was the sport that brought us here to the States. So I'm going to give examples for both. But within that long form content, this could be like 60 minutes, right? This could be like 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter. Inside of that long form content, depending on how you structure it, there's going to be ideas, right? There's going to be, an idea here that's super cool. There's going to be another idea here. There's going to be another idea here, and so on. And these ideas, right, they can be, what we call these is indicators, right? Indicators of, in that little part of the clip, right here inside, there might be potential for a short form piece of content. Now, how do we pick those moments, right? That's going to depend on your personal strategy on what you want to share. So in our specific case for Content is Profit, the number one feedback that we get from our community and the people when we go to events is energy, right? Everybody seems to like our energy. So we kind of lean into that, excuse me, because it's something that people tell us already that they like. And so perfect, we're going to give them more of what they like. The second thing could be...
And Luis, sorry, just on energy, we're getting comments that your volume is a bit low. I'm checking on here and I've got you on max. So is there something on your end where you can turn your volume up, please?
Is this a little bit better?
It's definitely louder for me. So let's see. Let us know in the comments if that's better. But yeah, keep going.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for the feedback. This is great. Okay, cool. So anyway, so we have step number one will be like, in our indicator, right? To select that content will be energy. It can be an exchange. In that case, in our specific case, will be an exchange between me and my co-host, who's my brother, or an exchange between a guest and my brother. And we like to play devil's advocate in our conversation. So if somebody says something that maybe we don't know anything about, or maybe like we have a different opinion, we just don't agree with that expert in that case, but we present our case and then we start having a conversation. So that is grounds for, in our specific internal rules, to select that initial idea that then will become a clip down the road. Another thing could be polarizing moments. So something like, specifically in our football show, right? Or soccer show for those that are here in America, let's say, something happened with the US coach and the US coach made this declaration that's completely outrageous. Well, we're going to dive into something like that because we want to drive a little bit of the conversation and be like, what are your thoughts? My thought is this. And the more polarizing we are with a topic, the more, yes, hate might be present in those comments, but also you're going to be attracting your people, the people that think just like you. So I would highly recommend leaning to that, and maybe those clips can go on, right? Like just recently we had a customer here in the studio. They have a political show specifically of Jacksonville, Florida. And a former major was sharing a story when he experienced a lot of hate in the streets and he was almost beat to death. Like, wow. And the reason I say this is because that's what he said on the podcast, and we grabbed that clip and it went crazy because it's a topic that not a lot of people are willing to talk about today, and he decided to share that story and hence attracted a lot of eyes into it, and it created, this interest to go listen to another episode, right? So those are some indicators that, of course, these indicators are going to be based on your goal for your clips. Right. So I'm assuming people here that might be going live, they're familiar with the concept of a funnel. Right. So let's say down here is the sales. What are the steps that we need to take? And we need to put people in here so they can go. So if it's a business, right, obviously, we have maybe here there's a lead magnet, right, for example. And then here we have an email sequence. And then here we have a sales page. Right. And so on and so on. Well, the perspective that we want to probably take a look at it, is this symbol right here, the money symbol. Your content, your long form content, is also a product that you're selling, right? You're promoting and you're bringing attention into that long form. So what will be some goals for your specific content? Is the goal to promote an episode and then the episode to build rapport, to then make people trust you and then move into the next step of the funnel? Or is your short form content create conversations on social, and then from the conversation on social, we move into a sales environment? I think a lot of people don't take a look at like what their content ecosystem might do for them. And that's why maybe the short form content might not be working. So our goal for this specific show is to create conversations online and drive traffic to the episodes. We know that 9% of people that interact with our Instagram Reels move and transform into a listener of the show. So now if we have that data, perfect, we can start thinking, okay, what's the volume that we can create? So anyways, once you have your value index indicators, we go back here to our graphic. This will be your, what we call your clean cut. This is your long form piece of content. And we're going to select, in this specific case, let's say we select 4 ideas, that those ideas have different rules. And one of the rules for us is that it has to be less than 59 seconds. The reason being is because with 59 seconds, we can publish that one clip in every single platform, and it saves a ton of time in the distribution. Some people might be like, well, why don't you do a little bit longer? Why don't you do a little bit shorter? Well, that's our rule. It can be shorter than that. And that's what we decided to do because it's easier on the production, right? So these right here are just ideas. And then from this idea, you know, which by the way, I don't know if, can we share what Capsho does, Deirdre, just yet? Or
yeah, 100%. It's out there. People can start using it. Yep.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so just for context, right? This clean cut, or that 1 hour video in our case, right? We have to, you know, feed it through the video editing software, and then there's a human that selects those idea based on our rules. And then even if you do AI to kind of select those clips, that there's a lot of tech out there that does it. Believe it, we've tested at least 100 of these tools that go out. It takes anywhere from 2 times to 3 times to really get the ideas that you want, and that's with a small value index like the ones that we have right here. And then again, you can select those ideas. Now, what Capsho came out with that's really exciting is that they do that for you. And believe me, I tested it last week and I was like mind blown. I'm like, this is great. This tool knows me better than my wife. And they're going to select the ideas I want. So you can save a lot of time in there. Now, once you have your rules and your indicators, right, which we talked about here, energy, exchange with a guest, polarizing topics, each one of these is going to be one of those, right? And then we can choose and we can format depending on like the platform that we want to do. So the same idea, right, can become 4 vertical clips in this specific case, right? Or, you know, what I say, right, can also become maybe a carousel of some sort for Instagram, if you're into Instagram, right? Maybe the second one, I don't want to do a carousel, but I want to do a written post, which, by the way, Capsho can do that for you as well, right? Or we can follow Katie's 4-post strategy and so on. So the cool thing is that you can just do a bunch of pieces of content based on that idea that you select based on the indicators. Now, here's the full map, you know, of what we're creating. And now this map has to be put in a little calendar where it's like, okay, Monday through Friday, where this one will go on Monday, this one will go on Wednesday, this one will go on Friday, and we can start putting in our scheduling and start testing our message at the end of the day, right? Because these platforms, when we put them in, they want you to be on the platform. They want you, the creator, to be posting on there because it's going to be driving attention. So they're actually working for you. And I'm so tired to hear the algorithm is against me. Not against you. It's helping you filter through who is going to listen to your message, right? So if nobody's listening to your message, it might be that your message is not good enough. And then that's a hit to our ego, which is crazy, right? So I'm like, okay, you know, this video got, let's say, 1,000 views. Perfect. What can I learn from it? The people watch the first 30 seconds of that video, right here. So what can we do at 30 seconds to keep the attention? Or how can we reframe and create a little hook at the beginning and so on? So now we're getting into structure of clipping, but we're not going to get that feedback unless we get this part of the content map, the selection of ideas, and publishing them frequently so we can start gathering that data. So I see a question that come here. Oh.
No, yeah, not yet. But I did have a question, Luis. Can you actually, before we get into the question, can we play some Content Doodle Do trivia?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. All right. So I know that I was a little bit patchy going, with my computer crashing and stuff. But I mean, looking back, I think Tatiana teaches. Okay. We are going to play for Tatiana. Okay. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to ask Luis some really, really hard Content Doodle Do related questions. And if he gets them all correct, then Tatiana, you are going to be the winner, the proud new owner of this mug.
Let's go.
How sexy is this mug? And I think Paul did drop the merch store for this challenge. So, people can just buy their own mugs too. But Tatiana, you're in the running to win this mug. And the only person standing between you, Tatiana, and this mug is Luis. So, Luis,
for myself.
How are you feeling about your Content Doodle Do trivia? Like, your knowledge? Did you brush up on your Content Doodle Do knowledge?
Is that with me or for Tatiana?
That's for you. That's for you. You're
prepared, Deirdre. I'm always prepared. I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. All right, and you know what they say? If in high school, whenever I used to do those exams, it was like, if you don't know the answer, just go with B. Just go with B. All right. So that's it. That's your hint. All right. So are you ready?
B all the way down.
Exactly.
I'll get one.
Yeah, right. It's the law of averages. All right, cool. So let's get into question number 1. What is the fleshy crest on top of a rooster's head called? Is it A, snood, B, a comb, or C, a crown?
My goodness. By the way, English is not my first language, so I'm just going to have to put it out there. I love all the support. I'm going to go with B, comb.
A comb. All right. Let's see if you are right. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. You're knocking this out of the park. We only have 2 more questions. Are you ready? Are you sweating? I mean, you are wearing a hoodie in Jacksonville too.
This is branding that I can't.
All right. Question number 2. Which tool does Content Doodle Do use for live streaming? This is a hard one. Is it A, megaphone? Is it B, Ecamm? Or is it C, the Cluckomatic 3000?
I mean, I'm between, B and C for sure. But, the one that we all love and adore, Ecamm. Let's go.
Ecamm is right. We love Ecamm. All right. And question number 3. Are you ready for it?
Let's go. Let's see. Tatiana, this is for you.
This one's a hard one. Okay. Which famous food brand mascot is a rooster? Is it A, Ronald McDonald? Is it B, Cornelius Rooster? Or is it C, Colonel Sanders?
Oh, man. Let's go with our favorite Cornelius Rooster.
Cornelius Rooster. Yes. Okay. Bonus points. Luis, do you know which food brand Cornelius Rooster is the mascot for?
Is that Kellogg's Cornflakes?
It is. How did you know that? I didn't know that myself.
Well, you are Australian, so I don't know.
That's
Maybe you just don't get it of it.
That's true. All right. Well, Tatiana, well done. Luis got them right. You are the winner of this new prize, this mug. Bono's going to be in touch to get all of your details. So congratulations. And while we're having a mini break, I did want to do a spotlight. I believe that Roberto is on here. Can you say hi to us, Roberto, in the comments? We wanted to spotlight you. You are today's Content Doodle Do spotlight because your content palette is bursting with color today, which actually means that you've been doing amazing, keeping up with the challenge, posting the content. You've been really engaged in the group, helping other people. So well done, Roberto. You are today's Content Doodle Do spotlight. All right, we had some fun, and now we're going to have even more fun. We're going to get back into it. Luis, do we want to share your screen again? Or do you want to?
Did I stop?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yes. Okay. Let's keep going.
All right, boy. So we have our content ecosystem, right? So let's, clean this up a little bit. And what we really want to start doing with it is start testing. And, you're gonna have something that looks kind of like this, right? So let's say if we have quality, as in production quality. So everybody is kind of familiar with, those clips that are super highly edited, right? Like you have like all these like transitions and crazy animations and so on, right? Like that's what I call production quality, right? And over here we're gonna have volume. So the more volume we have, right, probably the least production value that your team or yourself could produce, right? But if we want super high production value over here, maybe we have less volume just based on capacity and resources, right? So one of the things that we like to talk about is how do we gauge on like what type of content we can create, because clearly most people tend to start going like this, where it's like I want some level of like production quality, but I also want high volume. And just for reference, everybody knows Gary Vaynerchuk. I forgot his name, or Alex Hormozi, or the people from Capsho, right? But like Gary, for example, he has 3 specific TikTok editors. Today, that was last year. Today, he probably has more, right? And his system is like he's continuously documenting his life with a video editor or a videographer that sends that footage to the offices, and then these like 3 to 4 or 5 editors compete to see who can get content back to Gary as fast as possible so he can post it on his social media. That's his system, right? That's from an interview of his producer, right? Which is crazy, right? Alex Hormozi as well, like Jimmy Donaldson with Mr. Beast is a reference that we get all the time. Mr. Beast has 2 60 editor teams that are almost available to, which is insane, right? So we have to like understand like what are our resources, maybe as a creator, as an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur that maybe are $250,000 or less in revenue, might be you with maybe a couple of VAs, right? If you're in $1 million, you might have a couple full-time people in there, but you might not have a production team in place. So first we have to understand kind of like what are we playing with here, and establish a flow with your content team of like, okay, weekly, what is our output, right? To start understanding that and deciding which kind of output you want. I highly recommend video because obviously you can leverage long form content with tools like Ecamm and Capsho, so you can get that output to put out there in different formats, not just video, but also text and different things, and start putting that and start distributing. But because if we don't distribute, right, then we don't know what's happening. A lot of people think, oh, I created this piece of content, I put it out there, but I'm not promoting enough to see what's actually happening. And that's where the little short form content comes in. So what's the goal? The goal is to define your content map. And I'll give you an example. For our Content is Profit show, we have a clean cut, which is MP4, which is that means video. For those who don't know, then we have our MP3, which is audio, right? This goes to YouTube, for example, 3 times a week. And then we distribute through a service called Megaphone, also 3 times a week. And that's, presented in multiple platforms. From here, you have your blog. We do a blog, and then we do a short blog. That's coming from Capsho, which is great. And then we select 4 ideas, then those become the short form pieces of content that go out. So again, we do this 3 times a week, so that equals 12 pieces of content, at least on video, that we can test out every single week, right? So apart from here on distribution, perfect. That's the map that we gave our team to be like, guys, this is what we want to deliver after every single episode, based on the indicators that people keep telling us and the feedback that we get from the audience, right? So once we put the content out there, the goal of these clips is to promote the long form episodes. And if the downloads of those episodes go up, we call that a success, right? If they go down, then we start asking our questions of like, okay, let's analyze content a little bit more. So like I mentioned, Instagram here, we know that 9% transfers there. On YouTube, it's a little bit lower. For us, it's 3%. And then on Facebook Reels, is the biggest platform that we have for our show specifically, but they don't transfer to listenership. The reels are massive, but they don't transfer to listenership. They're like 4x the size of YouTube and Instagram, which is kind of interesting. It's the same clip, and we can start finding how to resonate. And again, this specific example is without ads. We don't run paid media. Now, with the football show, for example, that I mentioned earlier, same thing. We have a long form content that is video. We have another one that's audio, right? And then we select very simple 4 clips that are going to go. And this is twice a week. So we have about 8 clips that go out. Now with this one, we started testing paid, right? To see if we can speed up the process and so on. And then with paid, because the strategy here is to find a growth partner for that show, is okay, I want to be able to give them a budget. So now if we distribute 8 of this and we invested $10 into how can I bring these clips into the world a little bit more frequency to new audiences, perfect. Well, that's the note that I was checking here earlier. With that specific one, we did $19 and we gained 3,000 views and 17 followers. So now I have hard data to compare paid versus organic in my production, which is really interesting. So if I invest $19, I can expect 3,000 views or 17 followers. So if our goal is followers or views, which by the way, I don't recommend, then we can start putting a monetary value into our own process. But this is not possible because most people don't look at like, what is the map that proactively I'm going to create moving forward? Or what is something that I can give my team or my VAs or my software to start creating? And it doesn't have to be a massive show or a massive volume to get started. You can start with like 3 a week, 2 a week based on your own capacity. So any questions so far in the comments? Is this making any sense?
Nothing in the comments. I was reminded that we only have 10 minutes left, Luis, but I did have a question. I think you're going to go into this, right? Like in terms of the results that you see from the short form videos, then how does that actually inform the content that you create going forward as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for this, what we're looking for are outliers, right? I think I'm spelling it correctly, but we want to find a video, if you have an average of, let's say, 500 views per clip, let's say you one day have one that does 10K, right? And you're like, wow, what happened that clip got 10,000 views, for example, in whatever platform, right? And again, it could be your own style, your editor style. Like it could be like something very different that somebody else is not creating, but maybe it's also the message. Again, without going specifically, these are some frameworks and things that we can follow. But let's say you identify that clip. So what happened? So what was on the message of that clip? Was it something polarizing? Was it something that maybe it's riding the marketing wave of something? Maybe it's riding something of an event. Clearly, we just lived a crazy experience, or we just lived crazy times in the country based on what happened in politics. There's been a rise of content along those lines for a reason. They're riding that wave, right? The attention is there. So what happened there? The next thing that we want to look is like, how long was that clip consumed, right? Was it 30 seconds? Was it the full 60 seconds? And start asking ourselves, like, why are people falling off after 30 seconds? What's happened? So we can improve the view. And again, like this also works for long form content, right? So if specifically on a 1 minute clip, right? Let's say this is 60 seconds, sorry. Let's say this is the timeline of our clip and we have message. And then at the end here, we have a call to action. If 50% only gets here, you're missing the other 50% that don't see your call to action. So how can we adapt to that? If we're promoting our show, we can put our call to action at the very beginning, for example, or we can put a lower third in our clip right here that says, watch the show in the first like 5 seconds of the clip, for example. It's like, how can we put our message in front of more eyes, basically? And this specific data is what a lot of people don't take their time and look at it, right? And I will also recommend, don't wait for your outlier. Go and look at it and study the little videos, right? What's happening, right? If you put in 4, 5, 6 videos and you're still getting views, perfect. What's happening? Why are people not watching? maybe I am boring. Maybe what we selected is not the right message, right? The other thing that we do with outliers is those are also sources for new content. So anything that goes, above average in our distribution, and we look at this every single month, is those are potential new episodes, or those are potential new clips that don't come from long form content. That could be like, hey, I grab the transcription of that, I put it through whatever platform, I create a new script, and then I deliver that specifically on my phone in an organic way, for example. So we start recycling the ideas and we start experimenting with that. And it's just really, it becomes like this wheel where we're not stressed about what do I have to say, which is normally the number one question that we get. It's like, well, what if I run out? Well, with this system, we've done it for the last 3 years, and every single day we have new ideas coming in. And if we have questions, we just go into the outliers and what's people reacting there about, or what are they talking? And it's been like really fun to experiment.
Yeah, I find that some of the biggest channels actually just keep recycling content. And it might not be that they post the exact same thing, although I have seen people post the exact same thing, but they just actually take the message and they just, as you said, like they just do it another way, which might just be them, talking to the phone, like talking straight into the screen instead, or doing something fun with it. But literally the message is just the same, like when it works. Very many times I've seen that happen so much with especially big accounts.
Yeah, I mean, by the time of this recording, I think there's a huge trend happening in the business type of content where it's like, 10 years of business experience in 60 minutes, or, 5 years of business experience in 20 minutes. And that format has been picking up. And why does that happen is because, maybe the person that did it initially, right, or modeled it after something else, he got a ton of traction, that somebody saw that as an indicator and like, let's just do this. And he got a lot of traction, and now let's just do it, to the point that yesterday I saw one that is like 3 days of business advice in 15 minutes. So it was somebody that started like an e-com brand for 3 days, and then he did the same format of video. And I'm like, this doesn't help me. Like, we're way ahead. And it's super interesting to me because, those topics, they might drive views and they might drive that engagement. But after that, what's happening? Like, are people really engaging with that content? But are they really transferring to like our funnels or our business, or what's happening, right? Sometimes, we have to start looking at that as well and be like, based on what we create, like, how can we drive business at the end of the day? Because we're not just creators, right? We're also business owners. I'm assuming that most people in this challenge are, or they're trying to figure out like, how do we create consistently to, feed our business? So those are things that we also have to look at. So maybe that is very valuable. Maybe we send an email to our email list and be like, what do you guys want to learn? What are the things that, you need? For example, we worked with a brick and mortar a while back called Degree Wellness, and they did cryotherapy and recovery and all this stuff. And they were pushing a product that not a lot of people wanted to buy. And there's like, this is a new brand new machine that costs us $100,000, and we need to sell that service. But nobody was coming in. So we're like, well, what is your most popular service? And they told us. And we're like, well, let's send an email and be like, hey, if you purchase this popular service, we're going to give you a test drive in the new cryo machine, right? And most people were just intimidating because of the price. But once they tried it, immediately in the shop, they started purchasing that. So the piece of content that they grab based on feedback, from their audience, they just put a piece of content out there, kind of showing behind the scenes. That drove about 100 booked appointments because the other service was very popular. And then out of those 100 booked appointments, 20 people sold into the new packages, and they were able to start selling that. So again, it could be something like that, even if you have a brick and mortar or online business. It's like, how can we use these indicators, starting from short form content, to continue to feed your business funnel?
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if you guys have been very quiet in the comments, so please keep dropping questions, any questions that you have for Luis. One last one that I had was, we talked about resources before, and you mentioned like the big teams that the Gary V's and the Mr. B's, etc. have. Now, a lot of us, we just have ourselves. We're the ones creating the content. We're the ones who are looking to promote it, market it. What is your advice around what we do on the short form side of things? Because I would hazard a guess, because I know I definitely don't, and I have a bit of a team, but we just don't have the time to be editing, 3, 4, however many short form videos constantly. So what would your advice be, and what's the benefit of still getting, even if they're very lightly edited or not even edited short form videos, what is the benefit of even getting those videos out?
Absolutely. And I don't think we need the whiteboard anymore if you want to change the scene. But number one advice, it comes down to your own decision as a business owner and creator, right? Like, again, what I said at the beginning, production value is overrated. And it's funny, like, we follow a lot of creators that had a ton of production value and they just like dial it down because they get in this wheel of like, wow, like, how else can we push? And we also study creators that have done it for 4 or 5 years, and they have like that, they're very specific format on how they create. So when I saw the tool, and I'm like, well, this is gonna open a lot of doors, because if you as a creator and a business owner are confident on your message, you're not going to need a lot of production value. So you can grab clips. In our specific process, we call it tier C's, where it's like, the clip and maybe some captions and subtitles, right? And we're like, let's test messaging. So now you can measure your capacity, be like, okay, if a clip like that from value index, which is when we select ideas, to final video editing, which by the way, Capsho does for you, let's say in our human process is about 5 minutes once we have the idea, right? Before the idea, it takes like another hour. But now let's say I grab that idea and I want to test it out, and I want to maybe run ads, or I want to put it organically and see what happens. I can put 20 of those if I have an hour, right? For example, versus if I go to a tier A clip, which will be like a super dynamic, highly edited, engineer clip that might take me 30 to 40 minutes to edit, or my editor to edit. It's a lot less that I can test. So initially you can do that. You can grab your outliers, and then you can invest into make that message a little bit better. So what happens, a lot of people are really scared to share that because they think that production value is what drives attention or what drives engagement, right? And it could be as simple as creating a story based on that topic with your phone if you want. But if we're going from long form content to short form, I highly recommend and start putting stuff out there, and you'll realize that it doesn't really matter. People are going to still watch it. People are going to respond to it. We have a show that is this incredible person, and it's a very religious show. And again, I don't share his religious, but I understand it, right? And I understand what he has to say. His clips are super basic. He's talking head with subtitles. That's, the budget that he has, but he's been putting 5 of those clips every single week. And his YouTube people keep coming and commenting. It's because the message, what he shares, is so passionate, so exciting that people sync with him, and his community has started to build. So if we start seeing those examples, just like we try to compare ourselves with people that have been years in the game, that have big teams, that have the capacity to do that. So how do we scale that down in a sense? Is by lowering the production value in a sense, but working on our message. To them, we're going to build resources, and then you can decide to hire a team and increase your production value if you want.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so what I'm hearing, Luis, is everyone who's doing this challenge, you have got you did day 1, right? You used Ecamm and you recorded your show or your podcast. And if you want to try this now, this is bonus homework because this was actually not one of the daily tasks that we have for you, but you can go, it's already inside of Capsho. If you go to create new asset button, and it's actually in beta, it's a little bit slow. We're still optimizing for its speed, but just bear with us. You can go to video clips, and when you go to highlights, we already pick up some of those short clips for you. Like, we've already identified what we think are some really potent messages that you've shared from your content that you created. And so what Luis is essentially saying, and I think Tell Me Morgan, this is you pretty much asked the same question, is don't worry about the production value, right? Like, inside of Capsho, you can put it on a subtitle, you can slightly customize what you want your subtitle to look like. Download that clip and just put it out there, and do 1 a day. Or not, you could do 3 a week, 4 a week, 5 a week, you choose. But really, it's just all you're doing there is you're focusing on the message. And what Luis is sharing, I really, really want you to hear this and know this, is that it is not actually about the production value. And you say this all the time, right? Like, quality of message over quality of production. If you have the right message, and the way that we're talking about doing it now, this is going to tell you whether you have the right message. It is going to perform for you almost no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter that it's not a super produced short form video.
Yeah, and maybe I can maybe clarify quality of the message, right? Because that can mean different things for so many people. But something that helped me was, what problem am I solving for that person, right? So if I can answer that in a short clip, or if I can answer that in a long recording, that will be the valuable piece. I mean, it's like, in this video, we're gonna teach you how to select the best message possible, blah blah blah, and then you give your solution, right? Or if you are a recovery coach, in this video I'm gonna tell you the top 3 ways that you can recover from whatever problem, right? So like, how are you helping people? And that helping is your content, right? What questions are you answering in your content? That becomes the value of the message, and there's an example of this physics professor that's really incredible. All he does is answer online questions of physics students, and it's a Zoom call with a big chalkboard in the back, and that's it. It's one camera shot. It's nothing animation, nothing crazy, and he has more than 1 million subscribers in his YouTube channel, which is insane, right?
Crazy.
And it's because he's providing value. He's providing the answers that his audience is asking, and you only need one person. As far as like best bang for your buck, you guys are already in this challenge. You guys are already recording with Ecamm, and Capsho can do that for you. I highly encourage, start testing it out and rip the band-aid of putting that content out there. What's the worst that can happen? Nobody engaged with it. Perfect. We learned, and then we improving our message, right? And if you're like very conscious about what the feed looks like or whatever, which by the way I don't agree with, but I respect, delete the post and try again, right?
Yeah.
Which is really exciting.
Love that. Okay, we are out of time. So really quickly, Luis, where can people find you? How can they connect with you? How can they learn more about what it is that you do?
Absolutely. They can go tune out to Contents Profit, and you can go to contentsprofit.com. You can see the episodes there. You can listen to the episodes in every single platform. That's the best way to kind of get to know us. Or you can just send me a DM at BizBrosCo. That's our BizBros account. You'll see some of the clips there as well. Happy to connect.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Luis. This was, as usual, you always drop so much value. Everyone, keep going, okay? We're still in week 1. Get your week 1 badge, okay? It is literally, all you have to do is just do the task each day, and you will get your badge and fill out your trophy case. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on here. Thank you, Luis, and we'll see you in the Facebook group. Bye.